Welcome once again to another weekly edition of your favorite podcast.
Yeah, what up? Yeah, what up? Cause this is my United States or whatever. And this is my United States or whatever.
So serene.
Oh, yes.
Welcome to, what is today? September 21st, 2014. People listening to this on the 22nd, of course. We recorded a day early, a night early, a few hours early. I put it up later tonight, but most people won't be aware of its existence until Monday morning. Of course, this is the riveting theme song to The Last of Us, which is a video game for those unaware. I don't know who could be unaware at this point, but hey, you know, it is what it is.
It's really like catchy, but also sad.
It's an experience. It's not a game, Don. It's an experience. Yeah, you're right. It is very catchy. Is there even like a tune in here? I don't even know. It sounds like something that could be on like the From Dusk Till Dawn soundtrack.
Yeah, just. Is this Red Dead Redemption Part 2?
Yeah, Red Dead Redemption, that kind of thing. So the reason I'm playing this though is because I actually played through the game this weekend. I got it from GameFly. I think I got it Friday, so I kind of marathoned it, starting last night and then played all through today.
Wow.
Yeah, well, look, I have things to do during the week now. I can't just sit and play games all day, unless it's a weekend. Then I can.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, I know. But that's the thing. Like, if I want to play through anything, I have to kind of do it in a hurry now, which kind of sucks because I'm not used to doing that. Like, I usually take like 2 weeks to play through a game. But so anyway, yeah, I'm late to the party again. But we'll talk about that. And also, I saw the Maze Runner yesterday. We can talk about that.
Was there cheese at the end?
A little bit. And I think Justin did something this past week, although I'm not privy to what it might be. You want to tease something, or you just go into whatever we're going to talk about first?
Yeah, just I worked 9 to 5. That was good.
That's fun. I know how that is now. It's not fun.
I'm 1 week closer to The Evil Within.
The Evil Within comes out in, what, 3 weeks now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we'll look forward to that.
It hasn't
coverage.
gone gold yet, though. That scares me.
Why does it scare you?
Well, because aren't they usually gold by now?
Typically, you would think.
Aliens is gold.
Oh, is it? Yeah, well,
yeah.
I don't know. Something's wrong. Trouble in Paradise. Oh, no. See, I don't know, because I don't know, like, what... Shinji Mikami just does things differently most of the time, so he has his own schedule.
We not go gold until the last second.
He has his own schedule worked out for these things. So anyway, all right, let's stop that nonsense. Get out of here, music.
Get out.
Go away.
Get out.
And what's going to be funny is it's going to be playing
playing
for the entire next hour. It'll be playing, and then I'll come back at the end, and it'll still be playing like this.
Get into my car. Get into my
No,
car.
don't do that. No, that's a very bad idea. No one knows you. You're a stranger, Justin. All right, so what do we want to start with? Should we start with The Last of Us? I feel like let's just start with The Last of Us Remastered. Okay, so so I got Last of Us Remastered on Friday, and felt the need to play through it for the podcast. No, that's not true. I tried to play it on the PS3 when it originally came out, and my roommate at the time recommended I play it on hard. He's like, you need to play it on hard because you're a pussy if you don't, because it's too easy to just fist fight your way out of situations, and you have way too much ammo and all this other stuff on normal, and it's just a much better experience on hard. And I've seen a lot of people agree with that. And so me wanting the true survival Last of Us experience went with the hard difficulty the first time around. I did not like the game. I don't know what it was particularly about it. I think it was just I didn't.
Sure, it wasn't that frame rate on the PS3.
Yeah, that played a part of it. In the matter, especially at this time, like having played through it at 60 FPS instead. But the original experience was like, I don't know, like I think stealth. It's a lot of stealth in the game. right?
It's like, come on, spit it out, Dad.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of stealth in the game, and
there is a lot
when you play a stealth game, I feel like it's more fun if you can kind of feel like a badass. And whenever you're running around, not knowing how the AI reacts to situations, not knowing the lay of the land, all these different things that go into making you feel like a badass when playing a stealth game, you're kind of, it's tough, and that's how it is, but that's not how I like to play stealth games. So
that doesn't float your boat.
Not really, no. See, I came in with, like Manhunt and Splinter Cell and these types of stealth games, and those are tough in that if you get discovered, you're practically dead, but they also have stupid AI, and you can game the system pretty easily, right? And to me, that's always part of the fun, is like figuring out how to game the system and how to, you know what I mean? Like just how to...
Like I hid in that corner and it's blind, they can't see me.
Exactly. Like, in Chaos Theory, you can just like hide in the corner, like you just said, and you're 2 feet away from a guy, and he hears you, and he knows he ran right into that corner, but he can't see you, so he's like, oh, well, I guess he's gone. And he just turns around, This game, you can do that, but you have to figure out how first. And in order to do that, you have to play on normal or easy. And I played on normal this time, and I found I enjoyed it a lot more than I did last time.
I think that just goes to show that it is a good thing we have variable difficulties, because different people enjoy different levels of difficulty.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I enjoy hard difficulties with stealth games, and I'm going to replay it again on hard next time. But for me, I always save the harder difficulties for replays because, number one, it gives you like some replay value. You get to go through a harder difficulty. You get to have like a more challenging experience a second time through. And then, like I just mentioned, now I know how certain enemies react to certain situations. What kind of...
it's like you come in with not preconceived notions, so to speak, but you come in with the knowledge of knowing how some enemies react, and also the environments that you're in, which in a stealth game is actually huge. Because
that's a big key, I was going to say.
Yeah, see, I read you. I'm hearing you.
Yeah, so now that I know, more about the game and I like it, I'll probably want to replay it. And I'll definitely go in on a harder difficulty. I don't know about the other harder difficulties that they've added since the release of the game. They've added like another
ultra,
2 or 3
ultimate
difficulties, which are ridiculous. I'm not really about that, masochistic experience, if you will.
If you so much as fart, you die.
Pretty much. Number one, because I don't think the AI is good enough to warrant that kind of playthrough on that kind of difficulty. I think in order to be that tough, I think they had to make some concessions with it being super cheap. And I don't like feeling like I'm, getting gypped when I'm playing a game. So I'm probably going to not go any further than hard. Like when I played Uncharted by the same team, right? When I play Uncharted 2, for example, on hard difficulty, it feels okay. You know what I mean? It feels balanced. Yeah. When I play it on crushing, it doesn't feel balanced anymore. It feels cheap. It feels like it's just hard for the sake of being challenging because, some people like that, and they didn't really take the time to balance it on that difficulty, obviously, because not many people will play it. So,
sometimes it's like little Billy, hey, little Billy, what are you doing today?
Nothing.
I'm just in my basement playing Last of Us for the 10th time on the hardest Uber difficulty.
Right. And like I said, there are people that will play through those difficulties and enjoy them, and that's fine. I'm one of those people that is that way with Resident Evil 4. I've played through that game over 25 times, all the way through, at least 10 hours each playthrough.
Oh, let's talk about that later.
And it's like, I play nothing but professional difficulty in that game now. Yes. You know what I mean? Just because I feel like if I play normal, then it just feels way too easy.
Because you're Don, you're the professional.
Right. So, but that's my point is there are people that will play those difficulties, but it's probably just not meant for me with this game. Yes, anyway, I liked it a lot, though. It was actually a really good game all the way through. I don't know about repeated experiences right now, like right after you play it the first time, because I'll skip every cutscene, and I don't know how long it'd take me to get through the second time, because it honestly, it's not as bad as Max Payne 3, but it brought to mind Max Payne 3 because of how linear it is and how guided everything is. Yeah. I mean, there's several, instances where you're running around looking for where to go, and there's only one place to go. It's a window you have to jump through or something like that. And, they give you, like, some decently large areas to explore at times, which is cool. Like, I found myself actually getting into the story, because the story as for as much shit as I give video game stories, this one's actually really well told.
Yes, I think that's a big reason it did so well. Also.
Yeah, it's a really really well told story. The story itself, it's nothing really new. I mean, we've seen
nothing you've not seen before with post-apocalyptic.
Right. Exactly, it's your typical kind of post-apocalyptic. This girl is the cure. We must get her to the wherever. Kind of. I mean, it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, right? She's the witch. It's Dorothy. We have to get her there. But that's the thing is like you have to get her to Emerald City. And when you get there, you find out Joel's a lying piece of shit, but whatever. I'm just kidding. So, but hey,
you piece of shit.
You selfish bastard, you. That made me mad.
Characters.
spoiler, but it made me mad. The endings, anyway.
It's all about character.
It is.
They do character very well.
Yeah, the voice acting's unbelievable in the game, and the everything obviously production wise is top notch. I never slammed the game for any of that stuff. I just slammed it because I wasn't enjoying what I was playing, and that's basically, I guess, coming down to being my fault because I went into it with, I think I went into it with different expectations of what the gameplay would be like, having played previous Naughty Dog games. It's just a different type of game than what they've done before. So, but overall, I liked it a lot, and it was something I'll probably revisit in the future. But like I said, probably not right away because I'll just skip everything, and I don't really care to. I don't know. I don't need to experience it right away again.
Well, and see, I'm glad you said experience because there's some games that I think excel really good at gameplay, but they're very forgettable and they don't really feel kind of like a game. And then you have some games that aren't really games like Journey. I mean, they're games, but they're more about the experience. And I feel like The Last of Us is one of the few games that actually marries the two together extremely well. Not only do you get a ton of solid gameplay foundation and gameplay aspects, but you get a really good experience as well.
Well, one of the things that I found in this was, I remember my friend before told me, like I mentioned, if you get caught, you don't have enough ammo to really waste, right? In hard difficulty. And if you get caught, you're just dead. You know what I mean? Yeah. And in normal, you can actually fist fight your way out of situations a lot. And one of the things I ended up finding out about this game was I actually really liked the melee combat. I really, really,
brutal.
Yeah, I love the the ferocity that he just smacks guys around with, and I love the I don't know, I like it in Uncharted 3 too. So I found myself in that game even running up to guys, whenever they get close and just knocking them out because I like the hand-to-hand combat. So one of the things I missed my first time around was the hand-to-hand aspect of it, which is actually really well played out. And I feel like it's a big part of the game because you can choose to, of course, take them down silently, but I found myself a lot of times one of my favorite weapons in the game was actually the brick, and I would just equip a brick and just walk up to a guy and just smash his head with it, and it was just so satisfying.
I wonder if there's a YouTube clip out there with somebody playing and just composing all the the melee attacks with bricks and just be like,
probably,
geez, that brick, house.
And then at the end of it, you have enough to build a house with.
Yeah.
Bloody brick foundation for your
that
dream
sounds
home.
like
That sounds
like
fantastic,
a really good company.
Honestly. Yeah. Bloody Brick
Foundation. A good horror studio.
Bloody Brick Foundation. A good horror studio. I'll talk to Jennifer Nicole Stang about that.
There you go.
All right. So, but anyway, I liked Last of Us after initially not liking it last year. And now how much of that had to do with the presentation, being better on PS4, especially as far as frame rate goes and whatnot, I'm not sure, but it definitely helped. Let's put it that way. So anyway, if you haven't had a chance to check it out yet, obviously it was Game of the Year a lot of places last year, but the remastered version of The Last of Us is actually really, really good. And I'll just leave it at that. So check it out if you have a PS4 and you need something to play. I know a lot of you do.
So that's been the Whatever Podcast. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right. See you next week. Thanks a lot. So what did you learn tonight, Justin?
I learned that you finally played The Last of Us. And you had to play it on normal.
That's that's a lot of stuff you learned. Yeah, all right. So moving on. What did you want to talk about?
Well, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit more about Destiny.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay. So week haven't
two.
Played it.
Week 2 or 3 now. What is it? 2, 3?
I think it's 2.
Yeah, this past one was week 2. We're going into week 3. But what we wanted to do is kind of like revisit it, because how does it hold up after, release week? Like after like I told Justin, the new car smell kind of wore off. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, it's not old, obviously, but it's no longer the new kid on the block. Like it's. I feel like a lot of games go through this phase where people buy it, they play it, and then they ditch it. They either trade it in, they either sell it, or it just goes on their shelf and they just leave it there for however long until they play it again.
Yeah.
I feel like one of the games, they're not really similar gameplay wise. Obviously, they're both first person shooters, and they're both multiplayer focused. I brought up the example. I feel like Titanfall, which released earlier this year, it was hyped to hell and back, just like Destiny, but it didn't really have a lot of staying power. I don't think it did anyway. Like, I know it's still popular on Xbox One and whatnot, but it didn't have the, it didn't have the modern warfare effect, if you will.
No, not at all.
So week 2, what is your verdict?
Well, okay, so actually, and I think this is something we should do like more often, like kind of recap.
Recap Destiny weekly.
Are you replaying it? Are you still playing it? Are you?
Oh, you mean games in general?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you just wanted like a weekly Destiny segment.
Hell no.
Be like, cool. Let's just rename it whatever Destiny.
Whatever Destiny. Anyway, so I've still been playing it. I've almost hit level 20. I have beat the campaign.
Now, is that the max level?
Yeah, well, 20 is the max level with experience, but then you can get like these light points with equipment and rare drops, and you can actually go higher. I hear it's much harder though to get levels that way, but you do gain levels in that aspect. And I will say that I think it's still a fun game.
Okay. This is the Destiny soundtrack. Go ahead.
Okay, I do think if you don't have friends to play with, or like a friends list with people playing, it could be boring for a lot of people, because it's definitely one of those games that's just way funner to play. Like for example, I know a lot of people probably won't play Diablo if they're playing by themselves. They got to have somebody with them, and I just think it's very similar in that aspect. And I still stick by that. I think it feels like for that kind of game, if it's your style, you're gonna like it. But if you're looking for anything deep. Just style, but if you're looking for anything deep, it's just not going to provide it in the aspect of like a single player game per se.
Right, and that's what I think. Obviously Bungie's trying to avoid the whole single player pitfall, like I just mentioned, of people trading it in after a week. You know what I mean? So that's why they're doing the prolonged kind of releases. With the DLC coming and expansions, whatever it is, but. That's what we were talking about too. Is it's like a project, It's not just a released game and then that's it. It's just a continuing thing. It's like an organism. It just breathes and grows and then overtakes the world. It's a long stretch. It's a Nazi regime.
Wow, I never thought of it, but I think
it really is. Yeah, I'm sorry. Destiny is evil, and that's what I'm getting to. So, but you think it's still. You think it'll keep going and keep having like legs as far as the fun factor? Because I know it gets repetitive. Even in the beta, I thought it got kind of repetitive. But
yeah, I think it'll definitely have legs, especially if they keep releasing expansions and updates. I'm already set to want to pick up the expansions, even though I haven't finished it. But I basically see Destiny running like this for most people. They're going to play through the story campaign. They're going to play with their friends. They're going to do all the raids they can do. They're going to try to get really good gear, level up to like level 26 to 28, depending how high you can get, and then put it down for a while. And then when the expansion comes out, everybody will pick it back up, and go through it. And it's just going to be like a wave.
So it'll have the 1 week effect, but it'll have it with each release.
Yeah,
you'll have like that makes sense. Okay. So it's kind of like a Madden game or something now. It's more like a sporting event. It's like you have, every year you have the same game practically re-released, and everyone just pays for the update. You know what I mean? So then they play it for a couple months with their friends, and then it just goes away once the football season dies out, and then the next year they renew it and buy it again and start over. It's kind of what it's going to be like for Destiny, you think?
Yeah, in a way, actually, it's kind of weird, bringing this up because. I feel like the whole thing you're talking about, like people put things down. It's like especially like right now when the game's gauntlet's about to release with so many different choices to choose from.
Right.
I feel some people, depending on your mindset, some people are like, oh, I need to finish this so I can get to this. and you finish that so I can get to that.
That's true. That's very true.
You know?
Like there was a post on NeoGAF yesterday, and it was like, how to waste money or something like that. Did you see that? And it was just like. It was just a list of all the games coming out this holiday season, and it was just their prices like all added up to one huge total. And I was like, who the fuck would do that? Why would you? Yeah, well, why would you buy like they included like the, I don't know, like the Disney games and all that stuff too? And I was like, really? Like I'm not interested in any of those. And then like half the posts were like, I'm interested in 4 of those games, you know. But that's the thing is like there are some people that literally just put themselves through this gauntlet of just going through every release that comes out, and I don't know how they do it, but then there's people like me that are 8 months behind on everything. So
yeah, it's I will say if you're trying to play, if you're a gamer, sorry, I'm not supposed to say gamer, but if you're a gamer,
why not?
If you're a gamer that's trying to stay prevalent, to keep up to date, knowledgeable of what's out, how good a game is.
I'm still wondering why you can't say gamer, boy. Oh right, the gamer's dead or something like that. There was an article. There was an article saying like the term gamer's dead or something like that. What?
Games are dead, but rock is living. No, I don't know. But I just think it's, if you want to stay prevalent and know what you're talking about, well, it's like, you know, some people feel like they have to keep up. I'm kind of like that myself, but I can only do so much. But
yeah, I used to be like that, and then I just started realizing most games suck, and then there's only like 4 or 5 really good ones released during Christmas time. I don't know.
What music is this?
This is still Destiny.
Really?
Yeah, it's from the beta.
I guess I just can't.
It's
tell.
from the beta. Let's move on. All right, so I mean, I was moving on from that track. Because it started distracting you, and I'm the one that should distract you.
That's right.
So
yeah, I recognize this one.
Oh, do you? Well, that's good because I have no clue what this music is from. So anyway, yeah, I do think that I think it'll stick around for a little while. I don't know how long it'll continue to be like the top selling game, especially with the reviews as they were. You know what I mean? Like I think parents that haven't bought the game yet are gonna hear about it. Their kids are gonna say, "I want Destiny because my friends have it" or whatever, and then they're gonna look at the reviews, and then they're gonna go, "What the? I'm not buying that."
I don't think parents do.
No, they don't. You're right. So, but that's the thing is they should, because Destiny is garbage. No, I'm kidding. It's fine. I haven't played it. Fuck off. Leave me alone. All right, so with that out of the way, what else did you do this past week? Because you mentioned you did something and you went somewhere and found some stuff.
Oh, so yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
I always think it's really cool when like you go to your parents or like you go to like an old storage bin or whatever, and you open up a box of stuff and you just see the stuff that you've had. It could be the stupidest things ever, but I actually found a bunch of Resident Evil stuff. And
bunch of Resident Evil stuff.
Yeah, so all the Resident Evil books, yes, they wrote books based off the games, and then like 2 actual side stories that the author just wrote. I actually also have the 2 chainsaw controllers. Yes, chainsaw controllers. One for GameCube.
Yeah, you have both.
I have both, and PS2.
I'm envious of that. That's crazy.
And the controllers are horrible. Like you hold them and you're like, how would I even want to play with this?
But they're cool looking. Don't they have like blood spots all over them and all kinds of stuff?
They're cool. They look like chainsaws.
Right.
So, but I mean, that's really cool. I've actually got the original, and it's in really great condition. The original Resident Evil 4 preview GameCube disc that was the demo.
What? I remember that. I remember the. Do you remember the Resident Evil 2 demo disc? Do you remember that? The demo disc for Resident Evil 2 for PlayStation?
Oh, yeah, I do.
And what did it come with? It came with, was it Dino Crisis or something like that? I can't remember.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, it was some Capcom game, and if you bought it,
but
pre-order or something. I don't mean, you didn't have pre-orders back then, but if you bought it, then it came with like a demo disc for Resident Evil 2. I think I might have that somewhere, but I'm not sure. Who cares?
And what's fascinating is my Resident Evil 4 I bought was a GameStop collector's edition, which they didn't really do collector's editions that much then.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's a metal tin. I mean, it's a metal tin.
Wow.
It's got GameStop exclusively
That's crazy.
on it.
I have that for the Steam version, actually. You see, I made my own tin. I bought it from from Goodwill, and I fashioned it into a Resident Evil. That's not true. I didn't really do that. I wish I could, though. I wish I had skills like that. We're listening to the Resident Evil 2 soundtrack, by the way. Careful. Look out, Leon. They're coming for you. Oh,
Claire,
man.
run to that house. No, that's the first one.
Yeah, you're right. Claire, run to that house.
Yeah,
Claire wasn't in the first one. Claire's in the new one, though. Speaking of
the
which,
one where she looks like Tobey Maguire.
speaking of which, yeah. So TGS happened this past week.
Yes,
And
they did.
Among the reveals, not reveals, I guess, but among the games shown was Resident Evil Revelations 2.
Yes.
So are you looking forward to that one?
Well, Resident Evil is a funny series for me. The fact is, it's just completely changed over the course of the last 6 years, 7 years or so. Actually, I should say 10, because it's been about 10 years since RE4 came out. Holy crap.
Over the last 86 years, it's become a completely different thing.
We're back when I was in the olden days in Resident Evil 1. But I think that, I've been a fan, and I know that not all of them have been great or amazing, but I've enjoyed them all.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
No, I was just calling you out because they have all been amazing.
Yeah.
Including the Outbreak series. Fantastic games.
But I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They ain't afraid to try different things with their series, which is something most companies are like, nope. Look at Zelda.
Yeah, that's true.
They at least try different things. But the weird thing about it is it's gotten still such a huge following. I mean, you put you see a thread on GAF or Evil Within, and it doesn't have nearly the amount of views or posts that a Revelations 2 thread has when people are shitting on Resident Evil all the time now. Yet here you have a game coming out by the creator of Resident Evil 2 and 4, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the thing is, you're right. They aren't afraid to try different things with the series, as shown by Gaiden, remember?
Yep, I do.
For Game Boy Color.
Game Boy Color, man, and it was horrible.
It was. And that's the thing is they didn't give a damn. They even tried to put the original RE on the regular Game Boy at one point,
Yeah, I saw pictures of that.
Yeah, it looked interesting at least.
Yeah,
it didn't look good. It didn't even look like anywhere in the realm of being playable. But it looked interesting.
It looked like they were taking on a big tasking and that they didn't even finish. They're like, you know what, boys, let's just, no.
They're like, fuck it, let's just port it to DS instead. And then call it Deadly Silence because every DS game at launch had to have DS in the fucking title.
I know, isn't
somewhere.
that funny? I actually have that, though.
Do you? Yeah, I played through it.
Yeah.
It was another interesting one. Yeah, it wasn't bad. It was just terrible. So that's the thing, though, is, it's a unique series in that regard, especially with the movies. The movies aren't anything like the games, right? They're totally different.
No, totally different.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always been kind of an experimental thing, I guess.
Yeah,
and that's
I don't know.
I think that also leads to pissing people off a lot. Because some people just want things to stay the same.
Liking the one versus the other.
Yeah.
And you got people like me that are like, just give me more of them, I'll play them.
But the worst thing is that whenever it changed over to the RE4 style of gameplay, the original 3 games ceased to exist.
Yeah.
So no one could ever play them again. That's the problem. If they had also stayed in existence so that I could play the classic REs in addition to the modern REs, I wouldn't have an issue. Oh, wait, I'm lying. You can still play the original 3 games, and people still bitch like crazy, so I don't understand it. Yeah, people are like, oh, the new games, they're totally different. I'm like, then go play your old games. Shut up. But that's the thing, is people don't seem to want to shut up, and they like to make noise and bitch and moan.
Now, this is interesting because lately on my Vita, I've been playing Dino Crisis 2. Mm-hmm. Did you ever play that one?
No, I own it, though. I just bought it in a sale not too long ago.
Okay, so imagine, the classic Resident Evil style controls.
Right.
And the camera. Mm-hmm. And the graphics of the backgrounds, etc., right?
Mm-hmm.
But now think of, really fast-paced action, lots of ammo.
Yeah.
And a shooting range of shit.
And that's what I've heard of too. Dino Crisis 1 is like a Resident Evil 1 game. It's it's a clone of the classic Resident Evil. Then Dino Crisis 2 is a huge change.
Yeah, but it's really good. It's
right.
It's really action packed. It feels like it's actually probably my favorite dinosaur game ever. It's just so over the
right
top
behind
and crazy.
Jurassic Park Trespasser.
Yeah, but because that game doesn't even fucking work. But
that game's amazing, by the way. If you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, I've heard it's great.
It's one of those games that actually plays better on YouTube videos than actually playing it. So anyway, go.
This is pretty good. Oh crap, I suck at it.
Much like Dino Crisis 2. I'm just kidding. No. Keep going.
But the interesting thing is I almost feel like it's a precursor to the new Resident Evils because they're all action-y and more like shooting galleries. than they are about.
It is interesting because it's so old. Like when that happened, and then there's such a big break between Resident Evil 4 and that. You know what I mean? But I agree with you. I think that was kind of like, I don't know, like that was the precursor in effect where they were unafraid to make huge changes to an existing franchise. I think anyway.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you literally get a score for shooting the dinosaurs.
Really? That's cool.
Yeah, and I think you use the score to buy more ammo. Like what about the ammo drop areas?
Now you're forgetting Dino Crisis 3.
Oh no, I'm not. I don't recognize that.
I'm just kidding. I know that doesn't actually exist. If you Google it, I'm pretty sure it's been deleted.
It could have been an interesting premise, but the controls and the camera angles in that game, being a high-flying action game, flying with jetpacks, does not work.
I don't even know what the game's like. I just know it's on the Xbox, and it sucked. That's all I know.
Dinosaurs in space.
Dinosaurs in space.
Just as good as Jason X.
X in space is never typically the direction you want to take any existing franchise. You know what I mean? Like, that's usually not a good thing. Didn't really work for Friday the 13th or Leprechaun or
Friday the 13th.
Did
what?
It
was campy.
Oh, it was campy.
But it was campy. So
I like it was self-aware, like you're saying.
Yes.
Like I liked
Dino
the parts.
Crisis wasn't.
Right. No. I there weren't, women in it going, "Oh my God, let's get naked and have premarital sex," and just like ripping their tops off. If there were, then it would be a much different game.
Yeah.
A much better game. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, how do you have dinosaurs in space and not have like a sense of humor about it?
Yeah, I don't know.
That sounds weird. Anyway.
I don't know, but you just blew my ear out.
Sorry. Cool. You're welcome.
Totally cool, Broseph.
Totally cool. What was I gonna say? So anyway, yeah. So I need to get on to Dino Crisis 2. Is that what you're saying?
I think so. I think it's.
I played the first one last night years ago.
And I was like, this is a lot of fun. And there's some cool. I remember there's some cool boss battles, and there's just. And here's another interesting thing. There is no run button. You always are running.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really good. That makes me think of the another game shown off at TGS this year was the remake, Resident Evil remake.
Yes.
The remaster version of the remake.
Remake.
But the thing is, they added these analog controls now, similar to if anyone's played Resident Evil 2 on N64. There was this analog control mode where you just move in the direction you point the stick instead of tank controls. And there's a video that's been released showing off these new controls. And what's funny is there's like they just took out the like turning transition animations, for whenever you like press a direction, because you want to be able to move really snappy, you know?
Snappy.
So, but the thing is, it just makes it look broken because she literally just kind of teleports into that direction, So the video makes it look kind of funny. But anyway, but yeah, so I think those controls also have analog walk and run and whatever integration. So if you're holding the stick all the way, you're automatically running instead of having a run button, which is kind of nice. Kind of long overdue too. I don't understand why games in particular at all still have run buttons with analog sticks, but whatever. That's another podcast entirely. So I will definitely get on to the Dino Crisis games though, because I haven't played through. I played through the first one, I guess, in '97. So when it came out, and then maybe '99. I can't remember. But then the second one just was kind of off my radar because by that time, PS2 was coming around, things like that. But
so you're like, screw that.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I kind of dropped those old consoles like a bad habit. You know what I mean? But that's the thing is, I was stupid back then. No, not so much. Let me see here. What year did Dino Crisis come out? It was 1999. So Dino Crisis 2 was 2001, I'm going to guess. And by that time, PS2's out.
Yeah,
so wasn't on my radar then. Wah, wah. So what else came out this year in TGS? Anything of interest to you?
They showed like a 30-minute video of Bloodborne, which as a lot of people are excited for.
That game looks awesome, actually. I'm not a huge Dark Souls guy, but I think that game looks awesome.
Yeah,
I thought the reveal trailer was incredible for that game. It got my attention really quickly. So
it totally makes me think of Castlevania. Some of the stuff they show and the way it looks. I'm like, Castlevania vibes out the wazoo.
I think it's the art design in the games that just jumps off the page to me whenever I see something like it, you know, in one of their concept books or whatever they release. Like, the art in these games is freaking phenomenal. It's just ridiculous looking stuff. And yeah, like, I was playing through Dark Souls, and you know the problems the PC version of the game had, but even just vanilla, like, you know, textures and everything from the console versions of the game, it just looked phenomenal because the art direction is like almost second to none. It's just ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm excited for that game too, though. There was a 30-minute video release though.
Yeah, I didn't watch it all. I was like, I'll watch a couple of minutes and leave it alone.
Yeah, I can barely like put up with 30 minutes of Dark Soul footage, let alone Bloodborne. I can't remember what else came out from TGS.
There's like some new Final Fantasy footage for 15.
Yeah, they announced Final Fantasy 13 for PC, which is kind of interesting. It's interesting to me because I think that means that future Final Fantasy games are likely to also come to PC, which is cool.
Yeah, makes sense.
And I haven't played 13. The last Final Fantasy I played was 9. I don't even remember.
Oh,
yeah, it's been a while. But I hear I haven't missed much. So that's good. I know I missed.
Yeah, it depends who you ask.
I've missed voice acting because they started voice acting in the games. See, that's how long ago it was that I played them. Like, I haven't even played a Final Fantasy game that has voice acting in it. But I own like 12 and I own 10, you know, on PS2. So I don't know. Like, I'll probably get around to them eventually at some point. But it's one of those things that RPGs just take so much time.
They do,
and I just don't have that much time to invest in a game. Just one game back to back days. What's that?
I'm just, it's like, I can't be doing all these RPGs, It's hey,
I like to play a lot of different stuff. So like whenever, one game can't just take up my weeks, because it would take me literally months to play through them. I think it took me like a month to play through Twilight Princess when it came out because I was working 2 jobs at the time. And it was just, that was all I played for a month was Twilight Princess. And I don't like doing that. I can't. I hate feeling like I'm missing out on other experiences.
The world.
Yeah, the world. While I'm stuck in my room playing video games, I'm missing the world.
When he went in, he didn't have a beard. When he came out, he was a man.
That's the thing is, I just don't feel like sitting in my room all the time anymore. Especially I'm in a new town. Like I like to get out and kind of explore the stuff. And
I think as you become, they call it, an adult, you just stop doing that.
I don't know, like, I remember, like, the first week I played Final Fantasy VII, I put, like, 100 hours into it. Like, no joke. It was, like, 100 hours into the first week. And then, that was the last time I did that.
Well, you look back and you're like, how did I do that?
Yeah, no, I was in school, and, I was in high school at the time, I think, and it was, 97? So, yeah, I was in the 10th grade, and I was playing it, and it was just, like, I didn't even realize how much I was playing it, because I was having such a good time. And then I remember looking at my save file, and it was like 98 hours at the end of Sunday or something of that release week, and I was like, holy shit. Like, that's literally almost the entire time it's been out. Like, I've done almost nothing but. So, but like I said, that was the last time I did something like that, which was 1997. So, like, I just can't do that anymore.
I understand because my buddy used to come over, and literally, like, on weekends, we'd like stay the night at each other's houses and be like, all right, let's start this RPG, and we'd start at like late Friday, and we'd get done by like afternoon Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah, it was like that was something new at the time too, Like, Final Fantasy 13 doesn't excite me. I don't know, like there's nothing new in it that I can look at and go, oh wow, I'm looking forward to that graphically or presentation wise or anything like that. And I don't know, it'll be interesting because it's only like $16 or something for the first whatever it is. I don't even know. What are there, 3 of them now? Are there 2 or 3 Final Fantasy 13s now? I don't know. But anyway.
There's 3 of them.
There's 3. So it's the first one coming out mid-October, and then it's like $16. So it's cheap enough for me to just kind of buy on a whim and then, give it a couple hours at least and see what it's like, because it'll be interesting to see how it's evolved since I last played it, I guess. Because that's always something that's fun to me is about PC gaming in particular is you can go back to like the really, really old games on the same system, and then you can go to like the modern day versions of that game, and you can like one series that comes to mind is Tomb Raider. You can go back to like the PS1 era Tomb Raider games because they came out on PC, they're Windows compatible. You can play through those, and then you can immediately start up last year's Tomb Raider and play through it. And it's just like the contrast is really, really interesting to see sometimes, because a lot of them, a lot of the series are still made by the same people, but technology obviously has progressed leaps and bounds since the mid '90s. So it's really interesting to go back and see.
Leaps and bounds.
But another thing too, though, is one of the things that is kind of sad is that a lot of times they've kind of let technology take the lead instead of the game design, and sometimes they focus more on presentation and fancy effects and graphics and things like that, and the movies and whatever else comes out of Final Fantasy games now. But they focus on those aspects more so than the actual content of the game or the story, and those are absolutely paramount when it comes to designing RPGs. The battle system especially. So like, I don't know, like it'll be kind of fun to see, like I said, like the changes that have happened over the past 15 years. So
not a lot.
Unfortunately,
no, actually, if anything,
that's what I'm afraid of.
13 is a very cinematic,
right?
Like just very linear cinematic. I mean, the battles are fast. There's very little depth to the battles at first, but once you get further in, enemies start throwing more at you. It's basically like the tutorial feels like it lasts a whole like 10 hours, and then things start picking up and you actually die and you're like, whoa, this game just got real. But there's no towns, there's no it's kind of it kind of fits into the story because the characters are kind of on the run, so it makes sense why it's not like, hey, you got a ship and you can go wherever the hell you want. It kind of makes sense in the context of the story, but I'll leave it at that.
So it's like the Devil's Rejects is what you're saying. It's basically an anime version of the Devil's Rejects. So I'm looking forward to that. Who plays Captain Spaulding? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is she Lightning?
It was probably Troy Baker.
Oh, probably. Most likely. Yeah, Troy Baker, by the way, in Last of Us, unbelievable performance. Really, really good stuff. The guy is really talented, and unfortunately, God, he's ugly. Jeez, he looks like Joel. No, he doesn't. Now, that's the thing. Every time I hear the name Joel, I think of Mystery Science Theater, just by like habit, because of me, when I was growing up, that was who Joel was to me. And now I hear Joel, hey Joel, and I'm like, where's Servo and Crow and Chembot? What the fuck's going on here? It was just really weird. Anyway. But yeah, I don't know. What were we talking about? Are we still here? Are we live right now? Okay.
We're still
This is all getting edited out. This is going to be a 4-minute podcast. So yeah, anyway, it'll be kind of cool to go back and see all these experience these games that I missed out on, especially because I'm getting a new graphics card. Did I mention that last week? I think I did. I feel like I did.
Yeah.
So if anybody is interested in buying a 2 gigabyte GTX 670 FTW, let me know, because I'm selling it for cheap. And it's a really good card. The card I'm selling is actually really good. And you can still run every game on the market with the highest settings and still maintain 30 FPS. No problem. But that's not good enough for me. I'm sorry. It's just not.
It's not.
No, I just kind of, I got my first check, and like it was just kind of like, oh, I'm going to treat myself. So I just, right on my payday, my first payday at the new job, they released the 970 and 980. So
it was a sign.
It really was. So it was time. I've had my current PC for 2 years now, and it's, for me, that's a long time. I know this is not really a long time, but for me it is. And so, I figured, why not? What the heck? So
hey, justify it however you want. We're not judging.
That's the thing,
you,
though.
Okay?
The other thing I bought, I put myself into debt with both of these purchases, but the other thing I bought was a bed. It's amazing. It's one thing I've never splurged on before was a bed. I've always, Goodwilled it or whatever, super cheap shit. But this time I was like, nah, memory foam, bitch. And so, so I went and I bought like a really expensive mattress, and so that'll be fun. Sleep's important. It's an important part of your day.
That is something that's important. So.
So that's one thing you want high quality of. The rest of my furniture is like, $40 here and there, kind of piece it together, garbage. But that's the one thing I will not skimp out on. Is sleep. I'm sleeping on an air mattress right now, so you can imagine what that's like. Get some ladies back over here.
Oh yeah, you're like, hey, check out my fresh beats.
Yeah, check it out. She's like, where's your bed? And you're like, there. She's like, "What are you in, like, military? What are you? Is that like an army con? Like, fuck you, bitch."
I'm simulating.
Yeah. What are we doing? I don't even know what we're talking about.
I don't know. This thing
anymore.
went drastically
But that's
in
the thing.
a different direction.
I always say that. But that's the thing. No, seriously though, TGS was pretty exciting this year for a lot of people. Me, not so much. I don't really care about Japanese people or games. I'm just kidding. That's a horrible thing to say.
But there was nothing like, oh, they announced
no.
like Last Guardian
that was the thing. Yeah, that was the thing. Was there was like no big news that came out of the game show this year. It was all stuff we already knew about going in, and they just kind of showed more footage of it. And typically they save at least one announcement or so for TGS, but I didn't really see anything noteworthy. Now we're gonna, I'm gonna get emails from people, hate mail from people rather, going, "Don, you are a racist son of a bitch because you didn't point out that Guilty Gear 97,512 is coming out," or something like that. I'm gonna be like, you know what? I don't play fighting games. Done. Yeah.
Deal
so
with
anyway.
it.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got the Evil Within. We've got that's pretty much it.
Well, what?
No, the Evil Within. We've got Bloodborne. The Resident Evil stuff. I mean, that's pretty much all that stood out to me this year. So anything past that, I don't really care about. Final Fantasy 15 tech demo I saw. I don't really care about that, to be perfectly honest with you. But hey, some people might be, because Final Fantasy is still huge, right?
Is that a trick question?
Not really. It's
one of those series that I always feel everybody hates on the latest ones, but everybody's dying for the new one.
It's got a legacy to it, but I don't think a lot of the longtime series fans are still there anymore. That's just how I feel. Like, I feel like a lot of people are like me, where they just kind of like jumped off the bandwagon after the PS1. You know what I mean? Or maybe
I'm
PS2.
Still there.
Yeah, you are, but you're a fan of everything. But that's the thing is, like, what I'm saying though is, like, there's a lot of people that probably played through, Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 8, put like 100 hours into them, and then they kind of went, holy shit, I can't put 100 hours into a game anymore.
Yeah, well, think about this.
They might just rush through, like, 10 or 10.2 or whatever, but I don't think that they are, what I mean?
Your market changes. So
yeah.
just like, people always
people
say,
grow
like,
up.
it's like how they say, it's like, I don't know. It's like people complaining about season passes. I fucking hate season passes. I don't want to buy season passes. Like, and they just stop making it. And I'm like, and do you know why they don't stop making them? Because people are out there buying them.
Lots of people.
And they're making money.
Lots of people buy them.
Just because you're not, and just because,
yeah.
and I think the same thing is with like Final Fantasy or even Resident Evil. Oh, so there's a ton of people who hate Resident Evil, but apparently there's a shit ton of them that didn't and liked it. I don't
think that Final Fantasy sells in the huge numbers that some people think it does either. I think it sells probably 4 or 5 million copies, which is a lot, but it's not, Call of Duty 20 million copies every year numbers. I think but it has to be enough, because here's the thing too, they pump so much money over such a long period of time in each game. It's not an annual franchise yet. But that's the thing is it's just such an expensive endeavor every single time that they put one out, that it has to make a shit ton of money back, I think, in their eyes from now on, in order to be worth their while.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's doing that right now. So I think they're trying to figure out how to get it to do that. And in the meantime, they're moving a lot of stuff over to mobile and free to play and stuff like that. So, like Square Enix, the same company behind the travesty that I think is going to be the next Sleeping Dogs game, the Triad Wars. Mm-hmm. That's an online only, probably free to play game that's going to be not at all what anyone wanted in a sequel to Sleeping Dogs, but that's it. That's what we're going to get. And that's...
Well, I didn't even know that was what the sequel to Sleeping Dogs was. So.
That's the same company that's doing that, though, So I think a lot of people are going to be disappointed where things go in the future, I think, because there's a huge market, like you said, for online stuff, for free-to-play stuff, but I'm not in it. You know what I mean? I don't play that stuff. And it's kind of dismaying to see classic franchises like Final Fantasy head in that direction, but It is what it is. I mean, they have to make money, and the classic games, like I said, aren't really making. They're not making the amount of money that they wanted to. They are making money, but not $500 million that Destiny made in a day or whatever it was. So that's people. If they see those headlines and everybody's marketing department goes, "Why can't we do that?" And it's like, because you're not that game. You're not that company. You didn't have that idea. There's a lot that goes into it. You can't just go, "Oh, well, we're going to do that from now on," and then have the same exact success. It just doesn't work that way with anything. So I don't know. I think we're in store for big changes to classic franchises like that are going to be kind of disappointing to people, myself included.
Yeah, I guess time will tell.
I don't even fucking play Final Fantasy anymore, so that's something. Maybe they'll make it like Oculus Rift exclusive or something. Then I'd play it. That'd be cool.
I don't know.
I just came. Sorry. So
I just casted Kiraga all over your face.
Yep, exactly. It's gonna be like a hentai game. You're gonna have Knights of the Round, tentacles everywhere. It's gonna take 17 minutes to cast. The summon. Those were the days, man. You could cast Knights of the Round, and it took like 8 minutes to watch it every single time. And in order to beat Emerald Weapon, you had to cast it like 35 times. So the battle was like 2 hours long. Good times.
Good times.
Not anymore. All right, so transitioning from the gaming world into the movies. This past weekend, I saw The Maze Runner.
Yeah.
And I will just say it was amazing.
Yeah.
It really wasn't amazing. It was entertaining.
Okay.
It was interesting.
Okay.
I think the premise is really cool. I love, the whole thing is how it starts. Have you read the book before?
No.
Okay, neither have I. So I just kind of went into it blindly. And I'm glad I did, because not knowing anything about it, I didn't watch any of the trailers or anything. I just, I looked up, no lie, I looked up what was out on Rotten Tomatoes, and I went, "Oh, let's see that." And it was like, I went to the theater, just kind of like going around town, So I went to the theater, and I just kind of looked up at the thing, and I was like, "What's playing at 1:00?" Because it was like 12:45, and I was like, "Oh, The Maze Runner, is that new?" And I looked up, and I was like, "Yeah, it's new. Let's go see it so I can talk about it on the podcast." So that's the extent of knowledge I had going in.
It's also determination.
Yeah. So what it is it tells a story of a guy that gets thrown into this pit, basically, and he gets thrown into this, like, I don't know what to call it. Like, it's a little oasis-looking place. It's just like a wooded area, and it's kind of like the what are they called? The Lost Boys and Peter Pan. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, Lost
I don't know
Boys.
what they're called. Anyway, so it reminded me of that, because it's all teenage guys, and they are building huts, and they are just kind of living in the wilderness, right? They're like hunting for food and doing all kinds of stuff, scavenging. They're like farming. And what it is they all wake up in the middle of nowhere, this little place, and it's surrounded by 4 walls. And they don't remember anything other than their names. And that's all they know is their name. And there's this like elevator that comes up once a month and brings in a new person, brings in a new recruit. And they don't know why they're there. They don't know who put them there, but they do know that there's a maze that surrounds them, and every day the maze changes. And so it's an interesting premise, I think, because the less you know, the more interesting it is, right? Because the more you want to know. And so the movie starts off strong because it has this element of mystery to it, where it's just kind of like, what's going to happen next? Like, why are they here? It's really just kind of like it's not really unique, but it's a strong premise. As it moves along, like you start learning more about the main character. You start, they start with flashbacks and things like that. He starts sort of remembering things. Things start like kind of spiraling out of control. They have their own rule system set up. They have their own, like kind of society that they've set up over the past 3 years, which they've been there for 3 years. So they have this kind of like
That's rough.
Yeah, they have this kind of like hierarchy. They have like groups, dedicated to certain tasks and things like that. And it's a nice little kind of social system they have going on. And then this kid gets brought in, and it just kind of throws a monkey wrench into the system they have, and things just start kind of spiraling out of control. And there's the faction of people that like the order, and there's a faction of people that like the chaos, because the chaos means there might be a real chance they'll get out. Because this new guy came along and he started mixing things up, thinking outside the box literally, and kind of doing things unorthodox. And the other group of people like the order, and they don't like things changing, and they're scared. They're afraid that things are they're gonna die basically, because they don't know what's gonna happen. So it's really interesting kind of to see this kind of like microcosmic kind of look at society, I always find those kinds of films really interesting in particular, because they're just, I don't know, it just kind of, it's human nature, that's how it is with any society, and you kind of put yourself in the lead character's shoes, especially in this case. You don't know anything about him, so it's easy to kind of put yourself in his shoes, because it's just he's kind of an avatar, right?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of a cool approach to the story. They have to face off against these things called grievers, and they are like these mechanical, and I'm not shitting you, they look like the what is that thing? The Arachnotron from Doom. You know what I'm talking about? They really look like that thing. They're mechanical. They have like I don't know how many legs they have. I think they have 6 legs, but they look a lot like them. And they look a lot like Krang from Ninja Turtles too. But anyway, anyone that's left out overnight in the maze falls victim to these things. And I don't really know why they're there. I don't really know I don't really know the whole point.
Time's up, Don.
I don't really know the whole point of why they're out there. They explain somewhat like who put them there, why they're there toward the end, but that's where the movie kind of it becomes kind of confusing toward the end, because it starts off really strongly. And it was funny because I looked up on Rotten Tomatoes, and it was like 66% positive. And I was like, wow, that's about the percentage of the movie I liked. That's amazing. So anyway, so the first 2/3 of it are actually pretty strong. The first third especially. Then as it moves along toward the end, they start finding out more about the maze. They start figuring out like a way out, maybe, things you would expect.
Like the explanation.
But like, yeah, at the end of it, they sort of like, it sort of goes off the rails a little bit, and it feels really rushed. Like it feels kind of like, oh well, we spent so much time on the exposition and explaining the maze and the society they're in and all this stuff. Like, oh shit, we don't have a lot of time left, so we better hurry up and get them out of there. And it like just kind of like moves forward really quickly in the last third or so. And by that time, there's so many questions you have that it's impossible to have them all answered in the film's runtime. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it really kind of just like puts the pedal to the metal towards the end, and it feels really rushed, and it ends up being really confusing. Like I don't really get it. I don't really get why they mention in passing why they put them in the maze and why everything's going on, but it doesn't feel like you have a lot of closure, and it doesn't feel satisfying.
So does it end on a cliffhanger?
Yeah, it does. And that's the other thing is it ends with with the literal lines being spoken like, Phase 2 is now beginning. This is just whatever. So it's like,
gotcha.
Okay, so you're just setting it up to be like the next Hunger Games. I got you.
Yeah.
So I don't know anything about the book, or if it's a series. Is it a series? I'm not even sure. So that's how little about this I know. But
I would guess yes.
But it just kind of felt unfinished, I guess, and maybe it is. Maybe it's just supposed to be like one big story, kind of like The Hobbit or something. But I don't know. It was worth a watch, though. It was really interesting to see the beginning parts of it, and the cinematography is pretty incredible. The maze itself is really, really, really cool looking. Like the way that they mix the CG with like the practical sets and stuff. It's actually really cool. But I kind of left the theater kind of scratching my head and like not really feeling like I had all my questions answered, and I hate that. But I don't know. Maybe the next 2 movies.
Yeah, it's actually it's a 4 book series.
So maybe the next 8 movies will explain everything to me. But you know, and I'm just guessing that they're going to split every single fucking movie into 2 parts.
Don't get me started on that. Like, I guess that's for another time.
Well, like speaking of the Hunger Games, like I just they had a trailer for it, and I totally forgot that the Mockingjay movie or whatever. It's like the Mockingjay Part 1, and I was like, oh god, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what are they turning it into, like a quintology or something? I don't even know, but it's going to be a quadrilogy, isn't it? It's going to be Part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they're going to split Part 4 into 16 movies. Yeah, it's a mess how they do this kind of stuff, but I mean, as long as it's good, but still, I feel like I'm not going to live long enough to see the end of some of these series, which is sad.
Anything, but,
so
you kind of want to see it all.
I know, like I wonder if the next Star Wars trilogy is going to be like the 3rd movie will be Part 1, 2, and 3. Like there's a trilogy within a trilogy, and you're like, what the fuck happened here? But overall, like I'd probably give it like a B- or so. It was good. It wasn't bad in any way, really, but it was just kind of like rushed toward the end, like I said, and confusing at times. But I love the premise. Like I love that kind of post-apocalyptic kind of stuff, like
especially when there's like a mystery and like, what the hell's going on?
Right. And it's the cast is okay. Like it's cool because I didn't know anybody in it really. So
you're like, who's gonna die? I don't know.
Yeah. So anybody is pretty much up to being killed off at any time because you're not expecting anybody to live because other than the main character obviously, but everybody else you never heard of, so including him. But yeah, it was cool. So
good.
I'd give it a watch. I'd give it a rent.
Okay,
that's my rating. If you say like
I'm happy,
like pass, I know, rent, or see it in theaters, I'd give it a rent.
If there was ever 2 choices, the Maze Runner or the Cheese Maze Runner, I would now I guess go see the Maze Runner.
The Cheese Maze Runner would probably be a better bet because you can never top cheese, but whatever. So I like how we just do that. I have the actual music here, but we just do it like with our mouths. It's really interesting. All right, so I'm about done. I'm talked out. Are you? You have anything else you want to mention?
No, but where's our music?
What music?
Our outro music.
We don't have any outro music.
Oh, shut your mouth.
Sorry.
Shut your mouth.
We never play any outro music.
Yes, we
you want to start something? You want to start a new custom? Here, let's do this. What did you learn tonight, Justin?
Gosh damn it, you beat me to it. Well, actually, I was actually really curious about the Maze Runner. So even though you kind of were disappointed by the end, it's still
just the end. It's like 2/3 good.
Yeah, it still makes me want to see it. So I don't know if I'll see it in theaters, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, I saw it on like one of those big, Extreme D or whatever screens.
Digital D screens.
Yeah, it was stupid because I didn't want to, and they charged me an extra $3 for it anyway. But
basically, they charge you $3 for a neck pain.
Pretty much. I sat toward the back because it was such a tall screen. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it's worth a rental. I would definitely, I recommend it. Like I recommend people check it out. Yeah. So
what'd you learn?
I learned that you have a shit ton of awesome old Resident Evil stuff that I'm jealous of. Especially those chainsaw controllers. Those things are bad as fuck. And they're hard to find.
Are they?
I don't think so, but I wanted to make you feel better about your find.
You did.
Oh, well, good. I also finished From Dusk Till Dawn Season 1 earlier today, by the way.
Okay.
Took long enough. Yeah, I would watch it again. Not really. No, I would say you should watch it if you're interested in the movie. It's a decent kind of alternate take on it, I guess. But God, the girl that plays the role that Selma Hayek played in the movie, good God, she's gorgeous. Oh my God. She's so hot. It's freaking ridiculous. But apparently she's fake. She's had like tons of plastic surgery. Yeah, so she's...
Well, there you go.
She's as put together as you would expect a Hollywood hot chick to be. So anyway, her name's Eiza Gonzalez, if you ever want to Google her. She's pretty good looking. But other than that, yeah, not much else that I learned tonight. Yeah. So I think we're just about done here. Done. Check us out on Twitter. Check us out on Facebook and SoundCloud. All whatever podcast, WHATEVA podcast. And there you can find all of the stuff that we've done in the past, as well as future episodes, and links to my and Justin's personal accounts.
Yeah, and speaking of that, make sure when you tweet out the podcast, get me in it.
Put your name in there.
Well, tag me with it so I can retweet it.
Okay.
Damn it.
All right, then. And with that scolding, I will bid you all adieu, and take care of yourselves, everyone.
Take care, bye.
And each other.